Hello everyone. My capstone is called Design and Implementation of Centralized Project Intake and Prioritization System for Multi-Program Nonprofit Organization. In this presentation, I will explain the problem I selected, the framework I designed, and the main planning and execution work completed during the semester, and the main lessons learned from the project. The goal of the project was to create a practical process framework that a non-profit organization could actually use, not just a theoretical class exercise. Organizational problem and business value. The project started from a practical non-profit operations problem. Requests were coming through different channels, and they were not being reviewed or prioritized in one consistent way. That creating confusion about what was urgent, what was already in the queue, and what should be approved first. The business value of this project was to create more transparency, more consistency, and a clear link between requests and organizational priorities. Instead of building a large software tool, I focused on building practical operational framework that could be used with simple tools. Framework and stakeholders. The final framework had four main outputs. First, an intake form to standardize information. Second, a scoring model to compare requests and using agreed criteria. The third, a governance workflow to show who reviewed and approved what. Fourth, reporting templates to make status and workload more visible. The main stakeholders groups were executive leadership, program operations, finance, and reporting, and data or IT support. One important lesson of this project was keeping the sponsor role clear. The sponsor owned final scope decisions, and my role was to organize the work and provide impact analysis and recommendation. Planning highlights, WBS, schedule, and budget. The planning phase converted the idea into a controlled project. I used a deliverable-based work, breakdown structure, and then build a schedule logic from it. The project followed a waterfall structure plan. Design, build, test, deploy, and hypercare. Using a critical path logic, I calculated the baseline of 37 workdays. The budget stayed minimal and simulated, which matched course requirements, even with very low direct costs. The project still had real resources and constraints because sponsor review time, program review time, and testing time were limited. That was one of the most useful planning insights from the semester. Control plans used before the execution. Before the execution started, I built four important control plans. The quality plan defined what was acceptable deliverables looked like. The change control plan protected the approved baseline. The configuration plan controlled versions and access to the main files. The progress plan defined who I would track milestones, issues, and status. These plans were useful because once stakeholders began reacting to the first versions of the deliverables, I already had a practical control structure in place that reduces informal decisions and made it easier to keep the project stable during the execution. Execution monitoring and issue management. Execution in this project was simulated mainly during the weeks 9 and 10. The biggest challenges were not technical, they were practical stakeholder challenges. One issue was unclear interpretation of urgent and effort fields. Another was uneven review availability, as there was pressure to treat some requests and exceptions. To manage this, I used an issue log, decision log, action item register, weekly status updates, and a formal change progress. Those tools worked because they turned back concerns into visible follow-ups items and protected the project from undocumented changes. Closure, results, and lessons learned. The project closed successfully inside a simulated course environment. The closure metrics were straightforward. A 37 workday baseline, zero formal change requests, these issues log, and two main realized risks that were managed. The most important lessons learned were that a practical process framework was better fit than pretending to build a full software system, that the stakeholders review timing must be managed seriously, and that clarifying definitions early prevent reward later. The main recommendation for the future use are the formalized review window. Add a simple dashboard and expand training in the framework used in real operations. Conclusion. To conclude, this capstone showed that project management can add real value by improving how work enters, gets reviewed, and gets prioritized. The work did not need a large software implementation to be useful. It needs a clear process, defined controls, consistent communication. That was the main contribution of the project and the main reason I believe the capstone topic was a strong fit for the course. Thank you for your time. I am happy to answer any questions if you follow up.